Greetings. Okay, so this episode of the Vernon Richards Show, we're talking about goals. It's that time of year when we've all reflected, we've all sat around, we've eaten a lot of cake and turkey and food, and our mind turns to the new year and what we would like to achieve. What are we trying to get done? What mistakes are we trying to avoid from 2024? And so we talk about that and what goals we have, or at least one of us talks about what goals we have, because the other one's a bit too chicken. And how we're going to achieve them, and the strategies and the approaches and habits and things of that nature.
Exactly that, yeah. Habits, accountability, how to stick to your plans, and giving yourself a bit of slack and, giving yourself praise and also not being too harsh on yourself if things don't go that way. So yeah, if you're interested in trying to stick on track with your own goals, this could probably be a really interesting episode for you.
Indeed. Okay. Enjoy, folks, and let's know what you think.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Vernon Richards Show in 2025.
So it's the first episode of 2025. Greetings. Happy New Year to everybody. Yeah, by the time you hear this, you're probably sick of hearing Happy New Year, but we don't care. We don't care, goddammit. Happy New Year. And Happy New Year to you, girl.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you, Vern. Right, yeah. Well, we're hoping for a really good year on the podcast, continue the growth from last year, like we mentioned in the end of the last podcast with some of our podcast goals, but also our personal goals. But yeah, we thought we'd carry that topic into the start of the year and kind of discuss how we're going to do it. Like, we've got these goals and dreams and visions, but how?
Yeah, I've set myself goals that are so big that I'm too scared to tell them out loud on the podcast. So how are we going to do these? Now, these may or may not be, goals that you're scared of, like me, right? They could be. Nonetheless, how are we going to get these things done? It's January. We're all software developers of whatever flavor, testers, quality engineers, programmers, site reliability, whatever. So, it could be something around your professional development. You could have this goal to learn a new skill, improve your management capabilities, improve your communication, learn a particular tool or program language, achieve a promotion at work, get a new job, whatever. Like we all know what they are.
Yeah.
Could be get a six pack. It could be, get more chisels. It could be anything. It could be absolutely anything.
Be anything. So, I shared some of mine on LinkedIn, but yeah, things, the usual weight, family time, stop death scrolling Instagram and start reading more, like lots of things that, and then also like career ones. Like I've gone down the personal / career kind of divide. But I know other people doing that way. But yeah, I think it's more like I've got these goals and I've got these visions and ideas, but like what techniques, strategies are we aware of or that we used or intend to use that are going to make us either achieve them or get damn close to achieving them?
For the first time ever, I reviewed the previous 12 months. Like I just looked at 2024 as a whole and said, and went through this process of how do I feel about it? What went well? What didn't go so well? And why was that? Like what helped you achieve the success? What prevented you from achieving the things you wanted to achieve? What can you do to increase those things and decrease these other things? And so I went through this I'm trying to scramble to arrange my windows because I've got like 1,000,001 windows on with stuff open.
Is that one of the things? Less windows open?
No, because here's another thing that, tangent time. I got myself a Mac Mini M4. And I'm wondering at what point it slows down and chugs like my old Intel one used to.
Not for a while. Yeah.
So I'm trying to open as many windows as possible actually. So I want to see where it breaks. Yeah. tangent.
So while you find that tab, so you've gone off, you've thought back on last year, and you've kind of looked at what worked, and I'm guessing whatever worked, you're going to kind of double down on maybe, or continue doing, and then some things that didn't work. So how did you end? What did this end up looking like? Not specifics, but like, is this a Word doc? Is this just done in your head?
I think I can send you the link to it, because I, as many of you know, I've been on this writing journey, / content creation, but certainly writing. Two of the chaps that I have been taking a steer from are Dickie Bush and Nicholas Cole, and they have this. A year or two ago, they shared, this is how we do our yearly review.
Okay.
So they shared this template, which I could probably put in the show notes. I'm sure they won't mind. They'd probably be quite happy with that, to be honest. And I just went through that process, and it's got like 10 different steps or areas. Steps.
Okay.
So step 1 is like list all of your meaningful moments or milestones. Step 2 is list your wins from the year.
Okay. Yeah.
Step 3 is to organize those wins by life theme. Then the next step is to list the mistakes and anti-accomplishments. And that's where you kind of say, okay, what are you not happy about? What decisions did you make that you were like, in hindsight, like, that was daft? 5 is to do an end of year audit. So they give you, again, these different areas of life, like health, wealth, relationships, etc., etc. Score some of those things. And then you do an 80-20 analysis on those areas. So you kind of say, okay, what people, habits, beliefs, environments, content, anything, like what helped me, what contributed to those good things happening?
Yeah.
And then what things didn't. And then it's this comprehensive thing. So
it makes sense.
I went through this, and it's really about it is that I got a much better sense of things that I did that were awesome that I'd actually forgotten about somehow, or there were little things. There were lots of good things that had happened that if I hadn't sat and reflected on it, do you know what I mean? I wouldn't have been able to. I got to enjoy them again. I was like, I did that. That was amazing. Like I did this, I did this thing.
If you can remember them though, right? Because this wasn't you rereading over notes you'd made all year, right? This was
This is
what we spoke about. Yeah. Okay.
So this is part of where I'm going. So one of the things that I'm trying to do now is journal at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I'm only 2 days in. Because like I say, I just did this the weekend. I think I finished it, and then I did this other workshop, or I signed up for this other workshopy thing. I actually missed a couple of the sessions, but it's another workshopy thing, which was, okay, plan your 2025, and in that they were talking about journaling. So I was like, right, I'm going to commit to journaling. So I that's why I got my iPad, because I'm a nerd. I can't use pen and paper. It has to be digital. Got my Apple pen thingy. And so at the end of each day, I've been doing what is called I want to get the name right here, a midnight, hold on, and God, I'm going to get the name wrong. It's like hold on. Name. It is the evening shutdown. So I asked myself 3 questions. What were my biggest wins of the day? Did I have any major realizations on what's on the agenda for tomorrow?
No.
And so I try and do that. Like I said, I've only been doing it this week. So what's that? No, actually not. Is it this week? Yeah, it was this week. So I've only done a handful. And so far so good. And then I started thinking, well, why don't I do that explicitly for work?
Okay.
At the end of the work day, kind of ask myself these 3 questions, and then that'll give me another way to keep track. And I even signed up for our friend Ashinye's app.
Yeah.
She's founded a company called Counterpoint, which is an app that helps you keep track of your wins. I was like, all right, it'll be much easier at the end of the day. I can just grab my phone, fire up Counterpoint, and go, right, what do I think? Oh, hang on, wrong one. What were my biggest wins of the day? And it's, and then the next day I can go back to that final question of what's on the agenda for tomorrow, and just immediately hit the ground running, not just do this whole, okay, what the hell was I doing? I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So I haven't done the Counterpoint part yet. I think I'm going to start that on Monday. So I'm trying. I don't want to give myself too many things to do at once.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I can relate,
Right,
to that. Yeah.
Let's just get into the habit of writing stuff down just for your whole day. And then on Monday, you can add in that little addition of do it at the end of your work day and but use the app to remove a bit of friction.
Yeah.
So that's part of how I'm going to achieve the goals is notes, evidence, like keeping track of what happened. So that in December of this year, when I do my yearly review again, to your point, I'll be able to read stuff. I won't have to remember. I'll just be able to read.
That makes a lot of sense to me. I can see in the therapy sessions I've had, there's a lot of, talk around like, celebrating the wins, but also this kind of the act of writing something down, whether digital or pen and paper, just kind of often cements some of these things in your head. If you write down like that was, you've just done something stupid, like that was an absolute stupid thing to do, and it's stupid. But then when you write it down later, you're like, it's really stupid. Like, that was, and you kind of triggering yourself. And like, for me, especially when I write stuff down, I remember them a lot better. So you're just giving me an idea of journaling and like writing stuff down. And I've remembered I've had this, like, you've ever spoken to Hillary about notebooks? A guy called Hillary.
You know what? I haven't spoken to Hillary for far too long, so I probably should fix that in 2025.
Well, if you don't know who Hillary is, he's a Swiss guy who likes to find things in life, in certain aspects of life, and one of them is notebooks. And the notebook that he gave me, I'm actually using for my day-to-day work. But I've got a drawer full of notebooks, and I've remembered this exquisite. This is not familiar, but I'm sure he'd be a fan. This exquisite notebook that I've had in my drawer for quite a while.
Hang on, what is that badge of? Is that a footballer?
It's Man United.
Disgusting.
But no, I really like that idea of like, because it tied into one of the things that I'm going to be trying this year, which is to try and stop me from extensive kind of procrastination, not making progress. If I sit down on my own and I'm like, hey, I've got 4 hours, because I don't know, don't have Finley this night, or Finley's gone to bed. I'm like, I've got like all this time. Like, what shall I do? And as soon as I ask, what should I do? I'm screwed. I'm doing nothing. As soon as I ask that question, my brain is like, well, here's 1,000 things you could do, Richard. I'm like, what? And then I spend time going through them all. That brings up, negative sides of things. And then I end up doing absolutely nothing because I become so overwhelmed that I need to do something that involves like absolutely no brain power whatsoever, such as playing Sudokus or death scrolling Instagram. And then I do nothing. So what I'm trying to do is a little bit of what you said, but I'm trying to kind of get to the habit bit quickly. So kind of like Wednesday nights, right? Wednesday night is therapy and record the Vernon Richards show. That's kind of fixed. But then like, for example, Thursday nights, I kind of want to be like, you know what? 6 till 7 should be, writing LinkedIn posts. 7 till 8 should be reading a book. 8 till 9 should be working on YouTube videos. And I know that sounds very controlling and very prescribed, but when I get that notification on my phone that says you should read, there's something in my chemical makeup that goes, I should read. Whereas if I was sat there and I went, maybe I should do some reading. No, it's not going to happen, because same again, things like brain kicks in and goes, well, you could read, or maybe you could go do that job, or maybe you could do this, or maybe you could do that, and then I end up doing absolutely nothing again. So I'm going to try and blend that, like fix things every week, as in there is habits I want to build, such as reading, such as scheduling social media posts and that kind of thing, like blogs. And then there's time that I'm just going to leave blank that would be filled in with wherever my energy is at that time. But taking inspiration from you, maybe I can fill that gap the night before now based on, what happened that day. So yeah, I'm going to try the kind of hard routine.
I'm also going for the routine, the time blocking. So I went through an exercise.
Time blocking, that's the word.
Yeah, I went through an exercise before. Was it December? It was December. So December was still before Christmas, and I created like my ideal week. I said, if my week goes absolutely perfectly, what does it look like? And I've just gone full perfection, fanciful, dreamland scenario. Like if, I wake up at, like, I think it's 5:30. Wake up at 5:30, and then I will meditate, and then I will pray, and then I will hit the gym, and then I will write, and then I will this, that, and the other, and then I'll start my day job, and then I'll do this, and I'll go to the gym, and all of these things, and I've kind of sketched that out, and I'm trying to chip away at each of those. So the one that I'm starting with is it sounds so easy, but it's reading before I go to sleep. So the last thing I do every day is read. Now I'm reading on my Kindle, but I want to commit. One of the things I wanted to commit to this year is read. I was like, I don't read. I was saying this to did I mention this to Elizabeth Zagroba? I mentioned it to Elizabeth Zagroba the other day. That I committed this year to reading more, because I feel like last year, it was a great year last year. There's a lot of challenge. Oh my God, there's a lot of challenge. But I feel like I got off track with some things. One of those things was reading, and I feel like I got into this state of, I'm reading to finish the book. I'm not reading to learn the thing. I'm not learning to acquire the skill that I can then apply in the scenario. I was like, whoa, that makes no goddamn sense. Let's slow it down.
Yeah.
And let's read. So I've started with reading before I go to bed, and that's actually just for pleasure. And I've got this book here. Oops, here. I've got this there it is. So this is more about, this is not reading for pleasure, this is for work. What is this? Management of Organizational Behavior. I can't remember where I saw it recommended, but I had to go and buy it, not from Amazon, because it's had a few editions. But I want to read that, because some things that I've committed to this year are much more around leadership. So it's less about, last year was like, I really want to get more proficient with technology.
Yeah.
And this year I've kind of put that to one side, and I'm just going to say, do you know what? I will get back to it when I get back to it. What I really need to do this year is become a better leader, and I need to become a better communicator. And I need to start learning about organizational psychology, especially after going to ATD and listening to Jenna's talk, which was just ridiculous, and Ashley's talk, which was also ridiculous. So the reading at night is a way of just getting back into the habit of reading. I don't know if there's an audiobook of this, but I don't want an audiobook. I want to sit here and read the thing. That's what I'm going to do. I'll sit here and read the thing. So
I had the same thing with reading. So I looked up today, I was like, because I've got a Kindle, I've not used it for a long time. I don't even know what generation it is, even if it's still, it turns on, so it must still work, right? But
a Gen 1 that works.
But again, I was looking, at books, and, Kindle never really, I think like they all tried the subscription model, but it just doesn't work for authors, right? So like Kindle prices yes, it's cheaper than buying the book itself, but it's there's something about having the book. And then I was like, you know what, but I can't afford to buy, like, I'm never going to read the books, but I know what I'll do. I'll buy more books than I can possibly read, just because like people will say recommend the book and I'll go buy it. Right.
Yeah,
So I was
that's
like,
me.
I was like, I don't want to do that either. But I'm a bit, if I read, I almost want to read the paper. Like I want to have the book. So I actually looked up my local library today, and I was like, I've only ever been in the
Oh,
library like twice, but my library's dead easy to get to, and it's really, I've taken Finley once, and there's like a kids area as well, and it's kind of, it's all set up. So I'm having a quick look on the website, and I put in a few books that come up in the past, and it was quite good. I think it was, obviously, if the book's there, it's it's a library. It's there's, I think it's free, but there's a low cost to be a member or something. But and then it was about £1, I think £1.20 to have a book sent from another library to this library, so you can have it. And then it kind of went up, like it was like something like a tenner to have a book from the UK like main library. As in where, like, because the UK library has every book, right? I believe. So if there was a specific book, you can pay a tenner to have it sent to, and then when you give it back, it gets sent back to the central library. So I was like, you know what? I again, library for me, like as a kid, I was like, library. I was like, I've never been to the library. Like, so I thought, is that going to work? And then, some of the books I looked up, obviously time of year, were not available, like Atomic Habits, right? Because everyone's like, we need that. But there was a few other books that I've got saved on Amazon. I was like, you know what, is this book there? And I was like, you know what, it was. So yeah, I might explore with the library, because I do like the physical book, but also I did have a really good period with the Kindle, so maybe I should probably try the Kindle again, just to get going. But can't see them, but there's a shelf full of books here that I still not necessarily managed to get through. But a lot of them are testing books, which I'm not saying I don't want to read. It's just not the thing I want to read at the moment. A bit like you, mine's not necessarily organization, but more kind of personal kind of growth and habits and understanding me a bit more and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I love the idea of supporting your local library, by the way. I think that you've given me an idea there. I think that's something we all ought to be doing, certainly in the UK. I used to use libraries all the time because I'm old. So before the internet was a thing, you had to go to these buildings called libraries and go and do your research there. And I was in them all the time. I predominantly used them for homework, to be honest. I didn't always use them in the way you're talking about and going and getting the books and taking them out and reading them. I'd usually, trek over there with my notepad and pen and grab whatever book I could find, start taking notes and stuff, and that's how I would use them then. But that's a really good idea. Like, actually go and use the library services.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they get closed.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that is shit.
And then, in a way, you're already kind of paying towards it, right? With taxes and other stuff, right? So and like the books that you're after are there, and it's all, again, I looked on the website. I've never been on this website, but it's all automated now. You can request a book, you get emailed when it's arrives. They'll hold it for X number of days, and then it gets released. And also the kind of again, this was like 5 minutes of me looking at the library's website. But you only get the book for a certain period, right? So someone else can request it. So now you got to read it. So I was like, you know what, I need to look more into the library and see if that's an avenue that's useful for me.
But what about? So, I mean, I talked about how I've come up with, or at least some of how I'm going to come up with the plan. But what about accountability? Like, how are we going to stick to the plan? Or how have you? I actually like maybe going to the library feeds into this a little bit, because you have to go and take some action, get you out of the house. I know you like walking, so that'll be that could be 2 birds, 1 stone situation, depending on how far away it is. But how are you going to keep yourself accountable? And I've got some ideas around this, but what are you thinking?
I went with one, and now I've ended up with two. So the one I went with, which I posted about on LinkedIn, is building in public. So building in public for me kind of kills a few birds with one stone, right? So number one, it keeps me back to what you said about journaling. So writing it out for me on social media is a trigger for, the good and the bad to remind myself again, that that's a win or that's not. And then sharing that with other people. That sharing with other people, I've often found quite helpful in my kind of life so far. But also I like the fact that it sometimes triggers other people to maybe send you a DM, or maybe they comment, or it triggers them to, whatever it is you're writing about might help somebody else. I kind of like that. It's not the goal. It's not why I do it, but I like that potential side effect. And the second one off the back of me writing and building in public is people. So a friend of ours called Ben Kelly, who some of you may know, but awesome dude, lives in Japan now. But he messaged me saying, I'm on a fitness, I used to be a proper fitness fanatic. I've read all the books, I know all the things, and I want to get back into it. And he says, if you want any help, let me know. So I just replied saying, this is what my research has led me to, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I'd love that. And we're going to chat in a few days. Well, you probably, next when you hear this, we would have already chatted. But we've said, we're going to basically check in with each other, share progress. Obviously with this in particular thing, it's around weight loss more than anything for me. Like I'm not, I don't really know. For some reason I've converted to kgs over stones and stuff, stones and pounds. But yeah, I'm circa 10, 12 kgs heavier than I would like to be.
You're winning.
Yeah, and that,
winning,
that's the weight. That's kind of my want to be that weight. So obviously I know physiques can change and you build muscle and stuff, but even with muscle, I kind of want to be 10 to 12 lower than I am now. And I carry all my weight in the same place. It goes to the shoulders, my back, and my stomach. Like my legs are like goats. Like they are like amazing. Like I can fly up a hill, but like the rest of my weight goes to my stomach and stuff. And I kind of I want to shift some of that. So yeah, that's it really. Building in public is something that I definitely want to take forward. Probably more like occasional updates around the personal goals that I set, but then a lot more building in public around things like content, training. Like I spoke to you before we started recording, things like today I was negotiating with tool vendors, right? Other people might be interested in that. They might be interested in how you go about doing that. What were you even negotiating about? So little things like that, again, number one, it helps people, see me still, which is obviously nice. But then again, also helps me refine some of my ideas around talking to, potential customers. And then, the people side. So some of my personal financial goals, people are going to be helping with that too. And then, the fitness one. And I can't remember what my other one was. Like just general career, like me and you, we talk a lot about, careers, entrepreneurship, that kind of thing. And we did start a group with Toby, which I don't think anyone's commented in. That was another thing that popped in my head the other day. We started this entrepreneurial WhatsApp group and I think 2 messages and it died. So
reboot you can reboot it.
Yeah, exactly like that. And there's a few private Slack channels that I'm in, and that's another kind of space where I'm hoping to get some of that accountability as well.
Nice. How
about yourself? Any ideas?
Well, it's eerily similar. Mine's a little bit more people focused.
Yep.
So as I was going through the yearly review, I suddenly realized there are people that whether they realize it or not, they help me achieve what I'm trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the list of people now. I don't know if I should read it out or not. But there's a bunch of people on here.
Yeah.
You're one of the people on the list. I can say that.
Woo!
Yeah. That is like, right. If some of these goals, it's either a case of they are directly involved in me achieving the goal.
Okay.
So we need to have a session, don't we, about our 2025 goals. We spoke before Christmas,
Yep.
and we got some things articulated about the podcast.
Yeah.
But then we have some other things that we're trying to achieve as well. So we need to sit down and have those. So you're on that list. But I think you knew, as soon as I said there was a list, you probably suspected you would be on the list. But there's a bunch of other people who are on that list for different reasons. So they're going to keep me accountable for sure. Like, there's some people who are on that list who are going to be on my ass if I'm not doing certain things, right? And then there are other people who don't realize on the list, but just by their support. So I'll name one of them because I told him this earlier. It's like Christopher Armstrong. He is a very supportive individual.
Yeah.
Almost irrespective of what's going on in his own life. And make sure that you are okay. He's just.
I get a message every Monday morning from Chris.
This dude, I'm actually I'm starting to well up a bit. Like, he's got your back, this guy. So 2025, he's going to be one of the people. And there's a bunch of other people. So there's that. There's people who are going to keep you accountable. The journaling is going to help.
Yep.
But to your point, when I write it, what I've noticed already is when I write stuff down, I've started to try to bullet journal yet again to try and keep things front of mind. So when I write things down, it's like, okay, I've got to get this done. I've got to get that done. And then it's out of my head and I can just read it now.
That's it. Yeah.
So that's going to be really important for me. The writing things down, the daily journal of just the wins, the bullet journal as a to-do list. These things are all out. That is my hope.
That to-do list, that writing it down, that like, I wrote it on my LinkedIn post. It's almost kind of like Richard's done some pre-planning. Mm-hmm. So don't second judge him. You don't need to second judge Richard. When Richard wrote this list yesterday, that was the right list. So don't like, like almost questioning yourself. Like, you don't need to. Like,
Rich is going today. Rich is like, what was yesterday Rich talking about? What did he again?
Well, like you said, don't do that. Just do what you do it, and then at the end of the day, then you could reflect on that maybe. But like yesterday, you said this is the thing, and I wanted to. The reason why I wanted to chip in then was something we said at the end of last pod, which was don't miss. I think you said don't miss twice.
I missed twice.
And with the whole habit and routine thing, like for me, like I mentioned, I would love to jump to habits. I would love to jump to having a life that's habit based and principle based, and I know I'm just going to do the right thing at the right time. But I also know right now I ain't in that place. It ain't going to happen. So I need to write these. I need to have this, like you said, these triggers, these alerts, this planning that's going to, at the moment, that's going to keep me accountable, or at least trigger me to go, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to message this person, blah, blah, blah. So,
I mean, you mentioned Toby. You talk about habits. Toby's the guy. Like that's his jam. So if that's yet another reason to go on, we should go and harass him because that's his thing for sure. So there's for me it's people.
Yep.
Writing things down, and there'll also be some elements at least of building in public. So one of the things that I'm committing to is more consistent writing this year than last year, which sounds weird because I did the book with Nicola.
Yeah.
But I didn't do as many articles as I have done in the past, or posts, do you know what I mean? Or social media posts and things like that. It was all pretty scattershot. And I also, another thing that I got off track with last year, which the review helped me.
Nice.
This review has been game changing so far, like in terms of the way it's illuminated things, is that I listened to this, as Rich mentioned, both he and I are on this entrepreneurial type there's an entrepreneurial aspect to what we're up to, right? And so I've been listening to a lot of that content over the past year or two. One of those people is a guy called Daniel Priestley, and I can't remember which. It would have been in a YouTube interview, some kind of podcast interview, and he talked about this concept of posting, which John, if you're listening to this and you're in the software space, and I saw the name John Cutler, either you should be going, oh my God, what a guy. Or if you're saying, who is that guy? You need to fix that immediately and go and follow this guy on LinkedIn, sign up to his newsletter. Anything he talks about, please listen. He is that awesome. Now, this concept that Daniel Priestley talks about, John embodies it, in my opinion, magnificently. And it's this. Daniel says there's two types of content. There's look at me content, like, hey, I'm awesome. Like, I'm the guy, I did this thing, it's amazing. Blah, blah, blah. And then there's look at this content, that is amazing. Like, that thing is super helpful. Like, you need to go and do this. If you've got this problem, go and check this out. And I was thinking last year, there was way too much look at me content, like just way too much. I was like, what was I doing? So this year, I'm just on this. I am just trying to find as many useful things that I can share with people. So, because I'm going to be solving a bunch of problems, professionally and personally, as I solve these problems, I'm just going to share the resources and say, oh, or somebody says something cool. I'll say, oh, that was cool. Like I just did with John.
Yeah.
Like, hey, John just did this thing. My friend Martin Hinier, and I hope he can maintain the output, but he's talking about what he's learning and what he's doing with AI, and he's explaining it really beautifully. And so I'm trying to signal boost that. My friend Mel did the same thing. Melissa Eden yesterday, she posted a Substack article, and it was wicked. It's so good. I was like, right, that's awesome. Doesn't have to. I don't need to make everything about me. I am doing some cool shit, fine, but no one cares. If you catch my drift, like, people care about their own shit. So I need to help them with their shit, which is what I used to do. And last year, I feel like I got out of that habit. It was a bit weird. And I'm like, I want to do less of that. So yes, I will be talking about, I will be sharing, hey, we've got a podcast coming out, awesome. Or if I do something epic again, like I did with Nicola, I'll be like, oh yeah, I did this book. I'm going to be talking, but I need to do way, 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 way more. Look at this content. And John Cutler, it's like, that's all he does.
Yeah.
That's all he does. And it's good shit too. It's not just really surface level, just, oh, this is a bit, it's high quality stuff, in my opinion. In my opinion, it's high quality, valuable, helpful stuff. And I aspire to that in 2025.
So I two things have come to my mind, right? Number one, because you mentioned Martin and AI. So today I was learning how to use a LangChain and feed it a data source and basically have it use my own personal data and answer my queries on this personal data, right? And the reason why I bring that up is because I know for a fact that both of us last year in the pod, several times, and if I had a way of, searching our transcripts now with, or to be honest, I could do it tomorrow, but I bet we've said it, because it's the same for me in that I used to do a lot of read the content, and it used to be when Twitter was kind of in its prime, write a tweet directing people to the content, and that LinkedIn algorithm never really felt appealing to do that. And I mentioned Blue Sky doesn't feel appealing to do that, but again, there's other mediums. I could do it on Blue Sky. I could do it on LinkedIn. I could do it on a newsletter. I could do it on a Sunday blog post style, right? There's other ways to do it. But you talking about reflecting on the year, I know why I haven't done it, I think.
Okay.
And it's kind of just come to me now, and I used to make time to sit down and read these things at my laptop with a notebook or a note thing open or something that was like, I'm sitting down to learn. Whereas at the moment, these things have become part of my general death scrolling periods, right? It's like Instagram, boring, jump to LinkedIn. Oh, that was kind of cool. Like, And I've not solved the process yet of going bookmark that, somehow send that here, because I didn't need to. Because at the time, I would be sat at my computer reading it. I'd open
And
LinkedIn. I'd write a very quick reflection, send.
Yeah.
Or what do I?
Done.
X, Twitter.
Move
yeah.
on. Yeah.
And I'm not in that same. I don't have that workflow anymore. And I think that's a large part of why I've not done a lot of that signal boosted, as you said, as I used to. And I think platforms definitely have played a part in that for me. Like, I think signal boosting on Twitter, as it was at the time, was very powerful, especially the 2023. But yeah, LinkedIn reposting, like, sometimes I see the value in it, but like I get annoyed when I see that I shouldn't swear, when I see that notification, Vernon's reposted. That's not that useful to me. I now have to click on that to see what that is.
They know that. And
yeah,
why do you think
they do? I know, but then like I then see it, and it's either like, I mean, sometimes it's like useful, sometimes it's not, and then that leads to sometimes you see the next one and you go, I actually don't care. I'm not even going to click on it. I don't care. Like,
this is a tangent on what I was talking about in terms of how I'm staying accountable. There's one more thing I wanted to add, but I want to stay on this topic, because something else that I've started trying to do as a pure experiment this week, after going to this Ali Abdal thing that I talked about the weekend.
Yeah.
Which is part of the presentation that I listened to talked about dopamine and how, dopamine, I'm probably going to butcher this, but dopamine is related to motivation. And you get a big spike of dopamine after a certain amount of time after you do something hard. So, and it can be hard, I'm doing the air quotes thing again, hard doesn't seem to be that hard. It can be as simple as, so many of us go to sleep with our phones next to us, and the first thing we do when we wake up is check our phones. So the advice was, delay that first looking at your phone for half an hour. So just commit to getting up, go and brush your teeth, make your bed, and then check your phone. That should give you half an hour or some kind of delay, and then that will give you some healthy dopamine. You say, I did something difficult. I didn't just check my phone, and build a habit. So I've been trying to do that all the time. The other day I was watching a movie with the family, and usually I have my phones next to me. And I said phones. That was not a Freudian slip. Because I'm checking stuff while I'm watching. And this time I said, no, I'm going to leave my phones in the other room, and I'm going to be present with my wife, with my daughter, and we're going to watch the film. Or I'm going to watch the film at least. They can be on their device if they want, but I'm going to be with them watching the film. And it was extremely pleasant. It was absolutely lovely. And I'm going to keep doing that. So I've started leaving my phones downstairs because I'm trying to experiment with this whole being present thing. And the reason I'm bringing it up is social media is part of that. I'm trying to be a little bit more intentional. Like I said, I'm trying to be more helpful on social media. And that includes, therefore, I need to be intentional about what I consume.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to be a slave to the notifications like you described. So, Gina has just posted something. She just reposted something.
Yeah.
I bet you check it out. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm in control of this situation, not you, algorithm. So
I think that's I've tried something similar. I've leave my phone. I don't bring my phone into my office in the day. I've got my watch on, so if someone calls me, then my watch will obviously ring and I'll go get my phone. But I tend to leave that in there. The thing with the morning one, definitely agree. And I've always had this thing, right? I can't leave my phone. I can't not have my phone in the bedroom, because what if someone needs me? Yeah, I put it on silent every night. Every night.
That's same.
You could be ringing me. I ain't hearing nothing. I ain't getting up. I don't put it on Do Not Disturb. I put it on silent.
And ladies and gentlemen, I put that to the test in Potsdam last year. So can confirm. If you need Rich early in the morning, he's asleep. Good luck.
Exactly. So,
within.
and my excuse of my point is that was my excuse. And even in the morning, I'm also very disciplined with my notifications. I only have notifications for WhatsApp or calls.
Nice. Okay.
So if I pick my phone up to turn my alarm off, those are the only things I'm going to see. Yeah, there's no news, there's no social media, there's no emails, there's no nothing. Because I've never liked my phone calling me, or not calling me like physically, just dragging my attention by going, hey,
exactly.
There's a news piece, and I've never liked that, so I've never done it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I don't sit there constantly, opening apps after app. I would love to look at my stats one day and be like, that's enough Instagram, Richard. A minute later, whoop, that's enough, Richard. Oh, because I know I do it. But like even today, talking about what you said at the start, today I put an app. Before we started recording, I put a timer on some of the apps to basically to not to stop me, because I know it's not, because I can be like, go away timer, but to add that extra trigger, that extra
bit more friction.
more friction. That's the great word. Yeah, to friction in order to help me keep on track. Which is, I don't mind death scrolling Instagram, but there's an allocated time for that. Because for me, a lot of Instagram is utter, absolute trash that I shouldn't be seeing. But every now and again, I see the odd thing that goes, I could use that in one of my videos, or that's a great recommend. Like, the algorithm sends me a load of absolute tripe, but the odd time I get something really useful, and like that's what probably will keep me on it. But even though the whole meta news recently, I'm not entirely sure how long I'll keep that for either. But we're not. Let's not get into that.
Let's not go there. That'll be for another pod.
Well, yeah, you should go see what that is, because it's important. But yeah,
okay.
But yeah, so I agree there. The whole phone thing, anything like you said, distractions, anything that's going to kind of impact your ability to do what it is you want to do with that time.
That's what I was going to get into, because to loop it back to the thing I was going to finish with in terms of how I'm going to stay accountable. It's the things I want to achieve are so nuts, or the goal that I'm aiming for is so completely insane, that I keep thinking to when I'm in a particularly mindful state.
Yeah.
And I'm doing something like doom scrolling or, whatever, playing a video game. I'm saying to myself, wait, I haven't got time for this. Like, my goals are too big.
Yeah.
Rough. Like, I've got stuff to do. And so that to me is, I don't have time to play video games except to do it intentionally. Like, life is not supposed to be necessarily all about pursuing goals. It's like going to the gym. In order to get the growth, you actually have to rest.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But resting can turn into procrastination in the same way, very easily, in the same way that chasing your goals can turn into obsession or overwork. So you just got to find, and everyone's balance is going to be different. But I know for me, I waste a lot of time.
Yeah, me too.
And now I'm getting older, that feels more tangible. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The sad truth is, based on my age, I've got less life left than more. That's just maths.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think
I probably burned through my time-wasting bucket probably 90%.
I think you hit a very important point that I didn't mention when I was talking about my routine. Like, I have intentionally left not gaps. I've not left any gaps in my routine, but I have made time for downtime or relaxing time that I may or may not take. Right? I want to take it. Like, for me, the time where it says work on and read and like study and blah blah blah, that for me they're not optional. But I put the downtime in the plan, which I want to have the same idea. I want to have the same motivation that's not optional. That is downtime. But I already know that it won't be that way, because if I get into something, I'll probably want to continue.
Okay, right, yeah.
But I have, like I've not completely finished my plan yet, but kind of like 10 o'clock is like the cutoff.
That's when it's supposed to be for me as well. 10 o'clock.
Yeah, so like 10 is
I've been
10.
in that flow state. It's when that flow state hits, I'm like, yeah.
But then I remember thinking back to like other people talking about like, you mentioned the books and like delivering things. It's kind of, yes, you're in the flow, but you said you were going to do A and you've done A. If you carry on now, you're going to start trying to do B and you're not going to do B and you're going to get annoyed because you've not done B.
Importantly, you then lose tomorrow.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're now not in a good
Now,
place.
your sleep is impacted, and now you get up late, and now you're behind. So is it wet? Like, is it really?
That's what I mean. It's not. But like I've tried to accommodate a little bit of that into mine, but I've definitely incorporated, this is, chill out time. This is, this is, you can spend the next 30 minutes death scrolling Instagram if you want to, or you can spend the next 30 minutes just reading random news or watching random stuff on YouTube, because that's part of the plan, right? But that hour where you said watch educational things on you, watch YouTube content that's towards your goal.
Right.
That's the time. Like that, at that point, I should be watching what I want, not watching Matt Armstrong take a car apart, right? I should be watching that at 10 o'clock, not at 8 o'clock when it says go watch your entrepreneurial kind of YouTubes, or go and watch what the other testers are talking about so you can use it for your own content. I shouldn't be doing that. So
I was thinking about this earlier. It's like fast food. No one needs to explain to you that fast food is less good for you than good food. But if you are doing it intentionally, let's say, I don't know, you got 3 full-on meals a day. Maybe you got 3 snacks. So you're eating 6 times a day, 7 days a week. That's 42 meals, or 42 times that you eat, right?
Yeah.
If you were to nail it for 30, 35 of those meals, and the rest was less optimal, and maybe 1 or 2 of those might even be, enter your favorite fast food chain here, then you're still winning. Like, you're winning. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're winning. If you just get into this is what I'm worried about, is getting into that where you drift and you're not being intentional, and then actually, food is actually a really good example. It's like, I know, I forgot to eat. I know I need to eat, so let me just grab that bag of crisps. Whereas now it should be, okay, maybe instead of the most unhealthy version of crisps, maybe I should have a slightly healthier version of the crisps. Maybe I shouldn't have any crisps in here at all. Maybe there's some kind of alternative snack that I can have that gives me the shot of salt and crunchiness that I crave, but isn't crisps.
Yep.
So it's about that, like laying the land, all of these kind of things. So anyway,
all that prepping, I had the exact moment this evening with the prep side of things. Like, as in, on Wednesdays, as I said, therapy 6 till 7. There's a gap, and then it's Vernon Richards show. And usually in the past, I would try and eat in that gap, which is 7 till 8. But I also know I shouldn't be eating late. That my body doesn't like it.
Right.
So I was sat on my phone, and I think I logged off work at like 5 to 5, and I thought, I need something that's, I've been in the world of AI all day, right? I thought I need to do some mind numbing, but I started doing I started doing a killer Sudoku, and it turned out to be quite a challenging one, and it got to like 5:05, and I was like, no, you said you were going to make dinner at 5, and I was like, yeah, but I've not finished the Sudoku. It's like, yeah, but you can finish it later. It's like, yeah, but I can't leave an unfinished, like, Richard, it's just a Sudoku. Like, go make your dinner. And I did. And fortunately, I got it done in time. Actually, I had like a bit of time to spare. So, and then I finished the Sudoku before therapy. So
I'm exactly the same today. The other thing I want to say real quickly is, I'm trying to surround myself with people who have got similar goals to me, or are trying to do similarly challenging things. Because if you're trying to, if you're trying to, I'll go back to fitness again. If I just went and if I spent all day because I've hung out with Micah Brinkoff before. If I just hung out with Micah for 1, 2, however many weeks, months, I would get in shape and I would start eating healthier. Because her and a significant portion of her friends from the gym and things like this, they all go to the gym, they all work out. It would be like it would be almost impossible not to get fitter, stronger and healthier. And so likewise, if you can get clear on your goals, personal or professional, if you hang around people who have got similar goals or just similarly intentional with their time, you can't help but pick up some of that.
Yeah.
Or if the people that you compare yourself to or that you're measuring yourself against, if they are the right people, air quotes again, then you give yourself a better chance of achieving the goals that you're trying to achieve. So that's another way that I'm trying to hold myself accountable. It's a simple, Micah's a pretty good example actually, because in a lot of areas, like what would Micah do in this situation? What would Rich do in this situation? What would Chris do? What would Ash do? What would Jenna do? These are all people that in one way, shape or form, I look up to for whatever reason. So if I say, okay, for this particular goal, in this situation, what would this person do? They probably wouldn't do A. They would do B. You need to do B.
Yeah.
If they would have the outcome that you want and you're trying to model their behavior, then you need to go to do B.
And I think you've reminded me of a final point on that, though, is I think two things. One is, if you don't know those people, ask on a channel where there's a chance someone else might see. So, put a post on LinkedIn, let's say you want to post once a month. Maybe other people have that goal. So stick a post out there that says, I want to post once a month. If anyone else has a similar goal, maybe we can start a message, a group chat or something to hold each other accountable. I know there's groups that do stuff. I don't know if there's any in the testing space at the moment, but like your 30 for 30, right? There is other groups out, away from the software community that will be doing things like this. But then my final one was also, go on.
No, Brian, you just reminded me about one of those things, but I'll talk about it later.
No, my final one was then ask, I think a lot of well, we've had this conversation before, right? Like who are friends in the are the people I know in the testing community my friends, or are they associates or whatever, right? But the people that you think can help, don't ping them a message to see if they're up for it. So don't assume that person will always be, if it's a friend, they're always going to be there, right? But if it's more of an associate who you kind of met a few times but don't really have an ongoing relationship with, ping them a message and say, hey, I'm thinking of doing this. Would you be interested in keeping me accountable, or do you have any advice? So I don't know if I'm getting it. I don't know if I'm sharing my concern correctly, but ask other people as well. Don't just think, they're not going to help me. Ask them, see what they say. They're either going to say no, or they're going to say, you know what, definitely. Here's a plan.
What I've heard people say, I hope I describe this properly, is that they have this board of directors, is what they call it. Is it your internal board of directors or something like that? And so they'll have this cadre of people who are on their board, and these people could be strangers. They could be alive, they could be dead. It doesn't matter. But it's just a group of people who say, right, I'm going to take this action. And they kind of role play the conversation or imagine what this person would think of themselves, of them doing the thing.
Okay.
So Rich is right. If these are people that you can reach out to them. What's the worst thing they can say? Nothing. Yep. And you just get aired out. Maybe they reply and say yes.
Yep.
And if they do, are able to help you, then great. But if they don't, you can still kind of say to yourself, well, what would Rich do in this situation? I think he would do blah. Okay, I'm going to try that. And that could be quite useful. I think that's a really, really good idea. So we've been going on for an hour, man. I mean, this has been a slightly different episode than the usual episodes. Normal service will be resumed in 2 weeks' time. We hope that you got something out of it.
This is normal episode. We said we were going to talk about our lives in tech and testing. This is an episode around, our lives in tech that's going to help us stick to our goals, which, we both have testing related goals.
We do.
And this is going to help us maintain delivering content, communication, signal posting, make us happier and healthier and better and more focused, and all these things that are going to help us be better versions of ourselves, which in turn will have an impact on our ability to talk about testing and technology. So yeah, I think
you want to be like Rich and not like me, Scaredy Cat Richards. If you want to be like Rich and you want to share your goals with us and with the rest of the listeners, or just anybody, anywhere, then we would love to hear them. I would certainly love to hear them, because I find that seeing people strive for goals helps me realize what I can do. So it's quite
accountability,
a nice cycle. Yeah.
That accountability, that psychological edge of just commenting on this YouTube video might help you cement them a little bit more, or on the LinkedIn post or wherever. So yeah,
there was something I wanted to talk about very, very quickly. So I found this. I follow somebody on the socials called Ruth. I'm probably saying it wrong. Ruth Malan. It's Ruth Malan with an N for November. Ruth is caught with this thing called a month of system seeing, and it's this daily prompt to get you to model or draw out a system in order to help us get into the habit of seeing systems. And it's super cool. And I've committed to do it. I started doing it yesterday. I've got to do the next one after the podcast, actually, and get it out.
Nice.
But yeah, check it out. I will definitely put it in the show notes, because it is super cool. And I think it's super duper relevant for us in the quality space for sure, because that is our whole bloody job, is systems, whether we realize it or not. So
awesome.
Now that is it.
Well, thank you all for listening. And yeah, we'll catch you in the next one. We'll look forward to reading and hearing about your goals.
Indeed. Take it easy, folks. Good luck with your goals for 2025.
Bye for now.